How would you like to run your business from anywhere in the world? Sounds good, right? My two guests today do exactly that. They call themselves digital nomads, and some would say they're living the La Vida Loca. It's the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, thanks to American Express.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to your weekly dose of marketing madness. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. Infinitely more importantly, you're a motivated business owner and you are ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. And today's 448th show is very proudly sponsored by American Express, who can help your business grow with their pretty cool suite of business cards, which I would encourage you to check out after the show. Google Amex Business to find out more. Big show today. It's always a big show, isn't it? We catch up with an American mindfulness expert and a Persian career coach whose businesses are both location independent. They call themselves digital nomads, and they are part of a growing breed of sort of 20 to 30-somethings that kind of are doing things differently. I think you're going to enjoy it. You might feel a little bit envious afterwards, but I think you're going to enjoy it. Steve Sims and I will share another way to make your precious clients go wow and make you a dangerous business owner. And I'm going to reveal a couple of great guests you'll meet in upcoming weeks. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I can't hear you.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Did someone say something?
You know what that means? It's time for another business building tip to wow those very precious clients of yours. Thanks to our great mates at American Express, whose business card programs also make the smart business owner, just like you, go wow. And as usual, all the way from the City of Angels, we're joined by Steve Sims, speaker and best-selling author of Blue Fishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. Simsy, how can we wow our clients this week?
Oh, I want to talk about something that everyone hates, but they should be using the beautiful thing.
That's a very open kind of line, something everyone hates and should be using. Keep it to marketing, will you, buddy?
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to talk about something called snail mail.
Ah.
You see, the thing is, you open up your computer in the morning, you got 1,000 emails in there, and most of them are junk, but you go down to your post box, your mailbox at the end of your street, and you learn about the local, Chinese restaurant, laundromat, something like that. It's tumbleweed in there. Mm-hmm. People are not using a lot of mail. But here's my question for you. How many fingers does it take to delete an email?
One.
How many fingers does it take to open up a letter?
Thumbs, fingers?
Thumbs and fingers. How many?
10.
All of them.
All of them.
Exactly. It's total engagement. One of the little hack I love to do because I travel so much is I get my stationery from hotels. Even if I'm just somewhere, I'll walk into a hotel and say, hey, I need 5 envelopes and 5 pieces of paper. So when I write on the front of it, my clients are getting letters from hotels. You want to get past the gatekeeper? The gatekeeper in that office of who you're trying to get through to thinks that's a personal letter. So they won't open it. They'll deliver it straight through. Snail mail is the way to go at the moment.
So just to be clear, what you're suggesting, because my letterbox is absolutely full of what I would call junk mail, dare I say that, I am a marketer, but it's full of brochures and flyers and menus and fridge magnets. We're not talking about that. You are talking about getting an envelope with a real stamp and a pen, nothing computer written, and actually writing something personal to a client.
Absolutely. The real difference there is it's not computer generated. It's not like an automated typed font. I use Sharpies. I literally carry around with me 5 Sharpies, and I will use a Sharpie to actually write the address. So you know full well a weird thing like a human being actually posted that letter to you.
How unusual, hey? Real
Weird,
mail.
isn't it?
Last week in the WOW segment, you talked about calling people. This week, you're talking about writing personalised letters. What is the world coming to, Sims? Gee. Well, there you go, team. Thanks to American Express. That is another killer way to make your precious clients go wow. To find out how Amex can add a little wow to your business, Google Amex Business after the show. Sims, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I'll speak with you again soon.
Righto, I have two guests for you today. One, her name's Natalie Thomas. Two, his name is Nobacht. Now, I caught up with these guys in Bali recently at a co-working space called Hubud. Now, both Natalie and Niv, they're unrelated. They don't know each other. They just happen to work in the same co-working space. But what brings them together is that they are digital nomads, a growing breed of people, generally sort of 20 to 30 something, but I might be being a bit generalist there. But they're a growing breed of business owners who choose to run location-independent businesses, right? We spoke to a fellow maybe 2 years ago, Mark Phillips, who was doing exactly that, travelling around Australia with his wife, running 2 six-figure income businesses. Well, Natalie and Niv aren't running businesses of that size yet, but they are doing it. They're living a really wonderful lifestyle by not being tied to one location. I think you're going to enjoy this. I think it'll open your mind up to how business can be done. Maybe, you don't have a business that can necessarily be location independent, but it will open your eyes as to maybe how you can be a bit more flexible in the way you do business. So we're going to meet, first of all, Natalie, and I started off by asking her to explain her business a little more.
So, long story short, my business, I'm in the event planning retreat yoga world. So right now, my main focus and my main business is launching retreat programs. So I've been traveling for 2 years, living abroad for 2 years, I should say. And my background came about, I was working in entertainment in Los Angeles for 4 years. I was working in the movie industry, making movie trailers at 20th Century Fox. And what happened was I kind of convinced my work to let me go away for 3 weeks, which is huge in the U.S. Mm-hmm. So I did this whole travel through South America, and I'm like, wow.
Not going back.
That's kind of what happened. I'm like, I'm really vibing with this continent. So, and what happened with me is at the time I was at a point in my career where I was very thankful for my job at 20th Century Fox, but I was ready to make that leap on my own, but I didn't know where to go. The only thing I did have was one yoga teacher training course that I did in LA. So while I was traveling, a friend of mine who lived in Los Angeles, we were talking because she was in Santiago, Chile. And I'm like, oh, come visit me in Brazil, not thinking how far it is. Yeah. And she was like, hey, Nat, my friend is looking for an English-speaking roommate in Santiago where you don't pay rent. You just help with English. And I kind of took that as a sign. I knew I had started a website, didn't know where it was going to go. I just knew I was maybe going to post yoga and some travel.
Post yoga?
Post just yoga tips. And
here's a pose. Try it out.
Pose?
Yeah, is that what you mean?
Post. Post things about
yeah. Just post stuff about yoga.
Totally.
Here's a pose, do it.
Totally.
Right. So that was your little entree into almost maybe a side hustle while you're on holidays from this job in LA that was probably going to burn you out in another couple of years.
Exactly. And at that point, it was 2017 and about 2 years ago. And since then, I guess for about 5 years leading up to 2017, I was really diving deep into mindfulness, self-development practices, more thinking outside the box in kind of how we live our everyday life. So that definitely was going to be my website, which I didn't even know really what it would be at the time. So
can I just understand that, Nat?
Yeah.
You did the website as a sort of, again, almost a hobby? Like it was something
a hobby. And it's called the nowwithnat.com. So it's like living in the now. So I named it the Now With Nat. It wasn't live, didn't really know where it was going to go. But all of a sudden, this opportunity to move to Santiago popped up. And I'm like, you know what? Now or never. I am going to just take the leap and do it. Because I was like, free rent. My sister can take over my lease in LA. Awesome. So I moved to Santiago with a plan of staying 2 months.
Left your job?
completely left my job.
Tell us about that one. Hey, boss, you're not going to believe this.
I literally got back from the trip, and I was like, so I'm moving to South America. And he was like, you must have really loved your trip. But they were very, very supportive of me, and they put me in touch with a Fox office in Santiago, gave me really good advice. It just really
Tell me, out of interest, were you fearful of going in and resigning, thinking, everyone was going to be naysayers and, you shouldn't do that and don't do this, and you had a whole career ahead of you?
A little bit, yes, because I was on this certain career path at 20th Century Fox, and I had been working there for 4 years. And at this point in time, I was 30 years old, and I'm like, you know what? I just took it as a sign, but yes, I was really nervous. But
tell us about taking things as a sign, as a business owner.
It was interesting because during my travels, those 3 weeks of living abroad or traveling, I was kind of searching within myself for answers, because I'm thinking, I love my opportunity, but I'm looking to do more with my career. I need a sign. Am I just going to go back to work and then that's it and not really travel? And then 2 days later, having that phone call, it got me thinking. And I was lucky because I traveled with a good friend of mine, and she's very, very well traveled. She's been to over 70 countries. So, of course, speaking with her, she's like, oh, you got to do it. It's going to be amazing. She's lived in Thailand. She's lived in Spain and whatever. So I'm kind of like, all right, just 2 months, I'll try it. And
but there's something deeper there, a sign. So I have this thing. Yeah, I have this thing amongst my listeners. Some think I'm a little bit too woo-woo. Others think I'm not enough woo-woo.
Oh, no.
You with the woo-woo thing?
I'm totally into
I know you
woo-woo.
are. I've only met you for 5 minutes. I know you are. But
totally woo-woo.
So when a sign comes along, the wrong question is to say, what does it look like? Because it's not a physical thing. What does it feel like? And how do you find the courage to listen to it?
I just got chills. Truth bumps. Goosebumps.
Is that what they are?
Truth bumps, yeah.
Is there a sign?
There's a sign.
This is the right interview to be doing right now.
Exactly. Guess we're on the right path. How it feels for me is if something seems very interesting, like something sparks something in me, but it's still a little bit scary. And I think that is throughout our lives, we kind of experience this. It's like, it's something that's too good to be true, or it feels right, but our mind tells us it's wrong, or it feels right, but it just seems so out there, or scary.
Then it's the right thing.
And it's the right thing.
And you then act on it. And I guess it's a muscle almost that the more you use it, the easier it is to use it, and the less resistance there is.
Definitely. And the stronger I've noticed it gets with yoga and meditation, which I started this whole self-development path. So I had this feeling of, oh my gosh, this is so scary, but it feels right in a weird way, even though I've never been to Santiago and I don't speak Spanish. That was a whole other thing. Yeah. But it was that feeling. And I always told myself, I was a competitive diver growing up as well. So I've used some of that intuition and mindfulness practices that I learned with diving, of like going within, doing what feels right, like envisioning what you want the future outcome to be.
Can you give me an example of that in your business, how you've used that?
In my business, I've used this, for example, I'm launching a retreat program now. So Now With Nat became into the retreat section. And how I use it is right now, for me, I haven't experienced doing events, but retreats is new. It's going within and actually creating a program or creating material that feels right and authentic. And I feel like I'm in a position similar to when I was moving to Santiago. It's like, this is new, it's scary, it's a whole new ball game, but it feels intuitively right for me. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of how I'm using this into my business.
Brilliant. Well, it takes courage. I mean, there's just a lot of rational business owners out there who have to get a plan together, do a strategy, a bit of research, check it out with their best next of kin, and no rolling of the dice involved. Okay, I love that. So you've left your job at 20th Century Fox. You have visited a friend in Santiago or some...
Moved there,
you
packed
moved there,
bags.
you packed your bags. You've got this side hustle going of a little blog about yoga called Now With Nat.
Yeah.
Not sure where that's going. There's no business model attached. There's no revenue. There's no money
nothing.
coming in. At what point then does Nat go... Now With Nat is a business, and how do you start monetizing it? And where were you? Because this is a digital nomadic conversation at some point.
Oh, yeah, and I was not very aware of the digital nomad community so much at the time. My first introduction to it was when I did move to Santiago. My friend who was working or living in Santiago, she arrived for her startup business, and she got funding through Startup Chile. So she said, hey, Nat, and we were just chatting. She's like, why don't you come? We just started the program for a few months. Why don't you come work for us? And I said, okay. So that was my means of, income in a sense while I got to work on my side business. And through doing that, working at Startup Chile, I was around all these digital nomads from all over the world. And I got my first peek of how it all kind of works in a sense.
It being the nomadic lifestyle.
The nomadic lifestyle, the different programs there are in different countries, just more of like connecting with people from all over the world and understanding their ideas and being inspired. Just being in an environment.
So that's pretty important, isn't it? I mean, I always say to my listeners, hang out with like-minded individuals. I think there's some quote that says, the sum total of the 5 people that we hang out with the most determines who we are as people.
Oh, okay, totally.
So something like that.
Yeah.
It's much more eloquent, the quote, than I just put it. But, so you're hanging out with these people who one day you're going to become. Maybe you didn't know that. But was that a really influential...
100%. That really influenced me, and I really opened my eyes to, okay, there is more to life than just maybe a 9-to-5 job, or I can create something that I've always in the back of my mind or subconscious wanted to create. And so that was totally an inspiration. And I will just say that my 2 months there turned into a year. I didn't want to leave. Oh yeah, I did not want to leave. And what was really awesome, I was also inspired by an English-speaking expat nomad community that taught yoga. And I got a training in LA, and then I'm like, I've never taught. I was scared. I was like, ooh. But it pushed me to start my own classes, and it pushed me to do private lessons. So I started gaining the experience in Santiago. So I started kind of creating that little space as well. And then that connected with the Now With Nat.
And so money starts coming into Now With Nat Incorporated.
So I started. So I was like, okay, like I have my own tiny little business that it's like somewhat starting because I'm teaching a few classes, and I had some privates, and I got to work a bit at a studio, which was cool. And then Bali popped up out of nowhere. I had zero plans to come to Bali. What happened with Bali is I was scrolling on Facebook, and there's a huge digital nomad community for people on Facebook. It's one of the best resources.
A particular page, or just generally on Facebook?
There's definitely particular pages. No, so for Santiago, there's a group called Discover Chile, and great for expats. In here, there's Bali Community, Canggu Nomad Girls. There's a ton. I was in a general one called Female Digital Nomads. Awesome group of women who support each other who'd like to travel. And I saw a post on there that a yoga studio, or a yoga company, not a studio, company, was looking for a blogger or some sort of yoga person to come in and get a yoga teacher training work exchange. So I was like, all right, I would love to further my yoga career and learn more, and I'm just going to apply. So I submitted my blog. I wound up getting a call, and it was like, hey, Nat, we chose you. Come to Bali next week. And I'm like, all right. So this was May 2018, so not quite a year ago. And I packed up my bags, and I flew to Bali, and I did my work exchange. So,
did you know where Bali is at that point in time?
Kind of, yes. I had a few friends who had visited, but I never was like, I'm dying to go, which is like crazy because now I'm here and I'm like, it's awesome. So I submitted the Now With Nat blog. They wound up choosing me, so I got to do this work exchange with them.
So you're getting yoga teacher training in Bali. You're blogging for this school that's teaching you, and that's the exchange. And
so totally got to do pictures. I handled social media, but it was the right time because Startup Chile, because I was working for Startup Chile, and around that time, they were not funded through Startup Chile anymore. So I kind of had to make a decision of where the more of my monetary was coming in from. And when this kind of popped up, it was all paid for.
Oh,
it was a work exchange. Yeah.
So you got not only training, what, accommodation and food and board?
I paid for my accommodation, but they covered most of my food.
Awesome.
So I bought dinner. I bought dinner, but I had breakfast every day. It was so I had this.
Funny how the universe looks after us.
It's really funny. So I was like, okay, so that's how I came here. While I was here, I was just inspired by all of the people, the whole community. And for me, I'm like, this is where I need to be intuitively. Again, I was like, this is where I have to be to grow my business. And it was a very tough decision because I loved living in South America. I mean, I had my friends, I loved living there, I loved the culture, I loved everything about it. But I knew if I wanted to kind of take that next leap, I had to leave.
And we're in Ubud right now. Was that exchange in Ubud?
In Ubud, yeah.
Okay. Are you still on it?
So no,
Done.
It was 1 month. It was 1 month long.
A nice little entree into then help working Now With Nat into a business out of Bali.
So I came here within my first week. I just revamped my whole website. I've been getting more clear on my vision.
What do you mean revamped your website? What's that mean?
Oh, because it looked really bad before.
Right. So, bring it into the 21st.
This needs to look a little bit better if I want to actually continue with it.
How important is that? I mean, you're talking aesthetically. I thought you might have been talking about the offers that you had on your website.
I did change that too, yes. Okay. I added, because I was an event planner before working at 20th Century Fox, and I have a lot of experience doing events, mostly charity events. So I added a whole event section to my website, of my event services, my whole yoga services, mindfulness services. So I kind of tweaked those and I added the event section. Recently I added a nonprofit section. Long story short, my first business that totally
she's doing
failed.
quotes, air quotes.
Yeah, I'm in quotes.
So
when I was 25, I started a t-shirt company that gave back to nonprofits in Atlanta. Right. And when I moved to LA, that kind of, didn't really make it to LA with me. So I kind of brought it back while I was here after Lombok, where proceeds from all the shirts sold go back to a nonprofit that I partnered with in Lombok after the big earthquake. Mm-hmm. So I kind of added more to my site. Mm-hmm. However, Now With Nat is not to the point where it's this is kind of all I do. So once again, I got very lucky when I moved here. And right now I am the community manager and event planner for Outsite, which is a co-living, co-working space in Bali.
Co-living, that's interesting.
So I'm able to do that. It's mostly remote. And then, of course, I get to meet the guests and we get to do some fun events. And
how's that got to do with yoga?
Sorry?
How does that have anything to do with yoga?
Do you know what? The way I tied in yoga was I invited...
Because Now With Nat always comes back to yoga and well-being. Is that right?
No, there's really no yoga involved.
Oh, there's no yoga.
I've led a few classes for the members. It's more of the digital... It's a whole just digital nomad working lifestyle community, and I do some events with them. And they have houses all over the world. So that's been interesting because I got to see firsthand on the digital nomads that come into Bali and maybe they stay 3 months, maybe they stay 5 days and they co-work. So I've got to interact and learn a lot from them about their lifestyle and how they expand and grow their businesses. So while I'm in Bali, I'm still doing some work with Outsite.
So when someone says to you, what do you do?
I don't know.
I love it.
I'm I don't know. A lot of random stuff. No. So the end goal is to kind of take, with my retreat, I do have a retreat launching in Thailand, and it's called Wander Within. And that's going to be my first big, big thing that I'm kind of launching with Now With Nat. So it's definitely scary.
You're looking at your face. It's lighting you up and scaring the hell out of you.
It is. So that's why I'm like, okay, maybe it's I feel like I'm on the right path with it. And
what's it involve?
So during my time in Santiago and just traveling in Bali, I've noticed a lot of different retreats and what I've felt was, and this is not everyone, this is just kind of in general, a lot of retreats or excursions or whatever, they're more like in a box. I see a lot of yoga meditation. Then there's maybe just co-living, co-working. That's it. Mission trips. That's it. I kind of want to take everything and put it into one package. So what Wander Within entails is yoga and meditation, like very important. We're going to kind of go deep within ourselves. We're going to have 3 mindfulness classes throughout the week as well, just about self-development, just some tools to use in everyday life. Aside from that, we have an adventure planned. So we're going to do a really cool hike and go see a temple in Thailand. We're doing a visit to an ethical elephant sanctuary, and we're spending the day at a women's shelter. So it's a chance for people to volunteer and to give back as well.
Sounds awesome. My question around that is where are you getting your inquiry from? How are you? Do you have a large audience of people? Do you have a large email list? Do you have a podcast? You've got a blog.
Oh yeah, I know.
What
I have a
got?
blog. So I partnered with another company to do so.
Partnerships. Love a partnership.
Yeah, I partnered with an awesome company called Venture with Impact, and their business model is they have. They kind of give retreats and excursions to people for, let's say, a week, a month long, and they incorporate nonprofits. So, for example, say someone comes to Thailand, and they're in their co-living, their co-working space. It's for digital nomads, like they're working, but they have a skill set of they can develop a website. So Venture with Impact will match them maybe with a nonprofit that needs help developing a website, so they can volunteer throughout their time. So what Venture with Impact was looking to do is expand to do retreats.
Right.
So I made a partner. So we have a partnership where I'm building the retreat program.
Yeah. And they are doing what?
And they're doing logistic work.
Okay.
So handling transportation.
Yeah, but what about finding people to sign up for your retreat? That's what I'm interested in.
We're doing it together. So Venture with Impact,
so
they have a bigger following than I do. They're definitely way more established and they have a bigger
Where's
following.
Where's your following, Nat? Is it on social media?
It's on social media. So more of my bigger following is on Instagram, on both at Natalie Thomas _ and at the Now With Nat. So I have 2 channels.
Why?
So that I started just Natalie Thomas _
Does it annoy you that you've got 2 and you'd love to
Sometimes I think I'm going to move one. I've noticed that my personal one is growing a little bit more, and it's funny because I was like, oh, I have 2, but then I'm like, it goes back to the same person. It's just me anyway, so why do I have 2? Through social media, when I launch events, the biggest platform for me when launching events is Facebook. I've had the most responses, the most outreach. So that's what Facebook is really, really good for when I'm launching more of I guess with the retreats, but with events has been huge.
I want to talk to you about the ups and downs of being a digital nomad.
Yeah.
Before I do that, are your income? Because I'm interested. It's a business show, and I'm wanting my listeners to understand how you're monetizing what is essentially like a passion for you. You've finally taken something that is deeply meaningful to you, as opposed to whatever you were doing at 20th Century Fox, which is always fun, but it's no heart.
Yeah.
So you've got your retreat. Hopefully that'll generate good income. That'll allow you to do the next one and the next one. You've got some kind of exchange happening of work that you do for the live-in place around the
outside. Yeah, so I'm on a normal salary with outside.
Got it.
Yeah.
There we go. And that kind of supports you, gets you enough chicken satay, or I'm guessing you're probably vegan.
Oh gosh, no. I like fish. I can't give up sushi.
Right. No. I get a rush from sashimi, so
I'm like pescatarian 25% of the time. The other % I'm vegetarian, I guess.
Right, okay.
But,
got it. So you're doing okay there. Life's good, income, potential.
And teaching yoga, too.
And you're teaching yoga?
Okay,
so you got all that. In Ubud, somewhere around here?
Yeah.
Great.
With private clients.
What's been the greatest high since leaving LA?
Do you know, it's been it really has been the people I've met. That's 100% the biggest high for me, is meeting people from all over the world and having these amazing connections with people from different backgrounds and cultures than me is something that I can't even, it's just awesome. So that totally has been probably number one for me, is the people I've met.
I'm guessing, tell me if I'm wrong, there's probably been a moment where you were in your room, your bed late at night somewhere, tears.
Oh yeah.
What have I done? Would you mind telling us about maybe the darkest moment?
Yes, the darkest moment happened when I first moved to Santiago. And I remember this so clearly. My roommate, who didn't really speak much English, and he's awesome, we're still super good friends. He was out of town, and I was alone in the house, and all of like the power went out. It was like raining. It was winter, so I was just freezing, and I was just sitting there like, I don't even speak Spanish. What the heck am I doing? And I remember going on one of the Facebook groups, Discover Chile, and being like, I'm from the States, my name's Natalie, does anyone speak English or one? And like 2 people like that, like how sad. It's like 25,000 people who are probably like, oh, this poor girl, like you should probably go home. But so someone wound up responding and kind of like picked me up. We went out to dinner, so I at least had a friend. And that was one of my darkest moments when I was there, because I felt like I was just in this complete foreign country and didn't speak any Spanish. But that really propelled me to like push myself, because from there I enrolled in a Spanish program, and it started to feel like home after about like a month. But that was definitely a moment I was like, oh my god.
You gotta have those ups and downs, right?
Totally. I've had them throughout my time. I've had them in Bali sometimes. Like it's normal.
Yep.
And
I had one trying to find this place earlier, about an hour ago.
Yeah, of course. Even with just finding the ins and outs of like what I'm passionate about and what I want to do and work and living, I'm kind of, you definitely go through some roller coaster emotions sometimes, and then you realize, I'm not the only. There's a huge support system around you. There's, the number one thing is surround yourself with really good people, and then you're like, oh, I'm in Bali, it's nice. But in general, it totally happens no matter where you are, even in the most beautiful places. So I
think it's a great story, and it seems to be one that's very early in its development.
It is. It's very early.
Come back in 5 years' time, you'll have an entire adventure travel business, mindfulness, yoga.
Yeah, we'll see.
Who knows?
Who knows what's going to happen?
Well, Natalie Thomas from nowwithnat.com.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, I'm guessing your business has many, many needs. Maybe you need extended cash flow to bring to life that genius marketing idea that you've been sitting on for way too long. Or maybe you'd love a rewards points program that had you flying at the pointy end of the plane on the trip of a lifetime. Maybe you'd just like a business tool that made running that beautiful business of yours just that little bit easier. Well, here's what I'd do. After the show, check out American Express's range of business cards designed specifically to help small businesses like yours. Simply Google Amex Business to find out more. Now, back to the interview. Righto, well now let's catch up with our next digital nomad in Nobacht. He is Persian by nationality, but he now travels the world running his career coaching business. Let's go and meet Niv.
I'm a personal and business coach and consultant. So I do basically work on 2 levels. I work with companies, so I am a consultant in a company. I help them to better their teamwork. I help them to better their leadership skills. But I also work with people one-on-one, for example, for career coaching. So helping people to find out what they really want to do in their life, which skills they have and which skills they can use.
That sounds like a job that previously to becoming a digital nomad, you must have been in corporate somewhere, working for the man in a large corporation. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
What were you doing? Same thing?
Well, my history is a bit interesting because it actually, I apply it in my work as a coach. I used to do marketing, public relation, and I didn't like it. I mean, I have to say, I hated it. And I then quit the job and spoke with a coach first time in my life. And he would have a session with me for about 1 hour. He would only ask, what do you really want to do?
Great question. Hadn't you asked that before?
Well, not with that intensity and with the presence of the coach. The fun thing was he was actually seeing and believing me in a way that I didn't and I couldn't. That's the powerful thing of working with a coach. You know, he can give you direction where you don't really look for. You know, I was looking in my misery, my pain. I was like, I don't want that, and these people have that. You know, looking outside on the other side of the fence, and the grass is greener there, and
yes.
not getting anywhere.
You're lost in the darkness. He sees the light.
Right. So I did then write down what I want to do, and that is pretty much what I do now 10 years later. I want to work with people, support them, one-on-one, dig deep, understand the system they're in, and consult them to have a better life.
In leaving your corporate job, Niv, did you intend to become a digital nomad, create a business that was location independent, or did that come later?
No, I mean, that came step by step. My first goal was to be self-employed. And for now, I am self-employed, and I have to say, part-time location independent. I still do work with corporations, but I'm a free consultant. So it's my choice which contract I take or not. Of course, I have to have a look at the market and have to see the needs of my clients, but I have a much, much bigger freedom of who I'm working for. So I can steer that. For now, I steered it into this direction that I want to make it more remote, more location independent, and that really works.
Why did you make that decision? Besides the obvious that it's a really interesting lifestyle, some would say glamorous.
Yeah, well, why? I'm an Aquarian. I really value freedom. I want to travel the world. I want to see what's out there. I'm interested in people. I'm interested in different cultures. I'm generally curious, and I want to be alive. Okay,
so let's just step through that. You leave corporate work, you start your own business. You're Persian, so where are we at this point in time in the world when you're going through this?
Yeah, we're in Germany.
You're in Germany.
I'm born and raised in Germany, so I've always been living in Germany.
Okay,
West Germany, moved to Berlin.
Highly creative part of the world.
Exactly, and really great place. I lived there for about 5 years. Then I met Laura, my love. She's from the States.
Did that change anything?
Oh yeah, we went on a journey, and I quit all the contracts I had in Germany, and we went on a journey. We went to Hawaii.
Was that just? Can I just understand that? Do you mind if I poke and prod into that?
No, please.
So you met the love of your life and said, "Well, we're just going to go travelling the world and forget about business," or you?
Well, yeah, not in that total sense, but saying, okay, hey, let's look. What can we do to go? How far can we push it? I was like, okay, look at this. I can do 2 months, 3 months, 5 months possible. Let's just go for it. Let's see. Let's explore. And it was really also the work that I was doing in Berlin. It was okay, but I wasn't pushing myself to the place of this is great and this is awesome. So I realized that. And
are you hard on yourself? You didn't like marketing and public relations. You finally start your own business, but you hadn't got to a place where, and that's fair enough, but I'm just wondering how much of a hard taskmaster are you on yourself?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think part of my journey is to allow myself to be more free with myself, to be more loving. And by that time, that is accurate to say that I wouldn't really, looking at the coach again, that would see that, wouldn't really aim to my full potential. To say, okay, like what would be the greatest workshop I could do, rather than, okay, like who's asking for something and I could do that. I also think it's very important to have these two parts in mind. One part, like, what's my idea? What's great for you? And the other part, like, what's my client's idea? What's great for them? And to adjust that, to see, okay, where are the clients that actually thrive with the ideas that I bring, and in which environment can I bring the ideas where I thrive, is super important. So back then, I realized this is not it. Let's go. So we went to Hawaii and went into a jungle workshop, like 2 days in the middle of the jungle. And
you and your girlfriend?
Yeah. And it was with a friend of hers, drummer, awesome drummer, who's been with shamanic healers from Zimbabwe for many years. And it was all on self-sovereignty. And that was really, really powerful.
Changed everything, didn't it?
Yeah, because everything, all my projections I had before, all blown away. And really made me tune into what is it that I want to give to people? What is it that is my calling? And since that, I'm really like tuning into my calling and make sure I bring this into the world, both helping people and enjoying the process.
Wow. You finally found it in a jungle in Hawaii with your girlfriend. That's a wonderful story of starting a business and leading a nomadic lifestyle. So coming out of the jungle with that realisation, did your girlfriend have a similar realisation? Was she looking to start a business? Was she in her own business?
Well, she's a coach as well.
Oh, wow.
Or she would even call herself a prosperity priestess, because she supports people to realise their self-worth beyond their net worth. So she's working on the money mindset of people.
I haven't heard that term before. Prosperity princess. Priestess.
Priestess, yeah.
She's your princess, but others priestess. I like that.
And well, I mean, for her it was a bit of a different part of the journey on her job side. She's been in the business for some longer time. And but we've been basically together on this journey since 2.5 years, and realized that there's so much that wants to be seen and explored, and so that's how we end up in Bali right here, and me speaking with you.
The steps between leaving the jungle in Hawaii, going and packing your bags back in Berlin, was there many, or was it? You packed bags in Berlin, came to Bali, or how did you end up in Ubud, Bali?
Yeah, well, that's also, I mean, no, right?
You're going to say that's another great story. This is the thing about lifestyles of people like you. I mean, whilst it is glamorous and it looks like a lot of fun, the stories that you must accumulate versus if you were sitting back in the company in West Germany, it's incredible, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It really is, and I mean, there's the glamorous and all the just great pictures on Instagram, and then there's also a lot of work involved. And by work I say not really work work also in the classical way, I produce something, but work of allowing to let go of ideas and of mindsets. I'm from Germany, so I don't look like that, but there's a part of me that's really structured.
Yes.
And you want things to be all right.
Yes.
And
just an aside, do you wear socks with your Birkenstocks or not?
Oh, no.
No, okay. You're not that German. Sorry, go on.
But good point. So I have to say, so there's this part, and that's valuable if it's needed. But there's times it's not needed, so it's not valuable, so it's just limiting me. And I realized that at this point of my life, it's limiting me. Why would I need that? I don't need that structure now, I need to be open. So to learn to let go of rigid behavior, of how to do things, to be more flexible and to be more agile. It comes back to doing leadership consulting, agile planning. You don't know what's up, so you cannot structure, plan.
Probably a question which requires a much longer answer than we have time for, but there are a lot of business owners listening to this who are stuck either in a rut, who have, done what they've always done and got what they've always got, and sometimes it's not the result they're looking for. You broke that rigidity. Is there a little secret formula you have for doing that?
Well, yeah, maybe let me break it down. Let me try to break it down into 3 steps to realize. First of all, really tune into the need to change, the want. Like, be clear. Like, do you really want this to change? Or is there a part in your mind, maybe subconsciously, that's like, oh, look, let's keep it all this way. And let's just look for someone to blame. And, that's the easy way. And so, like, deal with that. Look into that. Meditate into that. Get a coach. Talk about that. Find out. Have to get yourself clear, your intentions. That's the powerful, most powerful thing. If that doesn't happen, you're not going to change. So the second thing I would say is take small steps, or set your intention. Like, I want this to change. This doesn't have to be specific, but just, say, for example, I'm going to be location independent by 2020. And then, do small steps and always get feedback or give yourself feedback. And, follow yourself, like, give yourself credits in the process and say, okay, hey, I've done this so far, this was good. Don't beat yourself up too much. I used to beat myself up so much. Like, oh, this is not enough.
German.
Again, German, yeah. I love my German part. I love me being German. I mean, that's powerful as well.
Yes.
Accepting what you bring into the table, and don't beat yourself up, but rather look what works. Have a look at who does it that way that I want to do it, who inspires me, and then stay inspired. Mm-hmm. If you're burned out, don't stop. Like, take a rest, and always get on track with your own intention. Always rehearse, look into that, and keep it fun. Don't make it like don't make it like a German school or something.
Love it. Okay, they're the 3 steps to losing rigidity.
Yeah.
Love it.
And maybe like I can add to that. I'm also planning on doing a workshop on how leaders can learn from nomads. The point of the nomad thing is right here that helps me to let go of this rigidity is you never know what comes up next day. That's challenging, and that's also adding up to your growth. So, you always get down to problems, like your MacBook, your keyboard isn't working. So what you're going to do now? There's no Apple Store around. So what do? You want to have air pressure to put it in there? No one has it. Okay, like, turned out half an hour later, I was like, let's take one of these bamboo straws and put some pressure on the keyboard, and ta-da, it worked.
Beautiful.
And, to transfer that skills, I work with my clients a lot. And these are just beautiful things that I'm like, oh, great. That's so important in the work world. It's not always like learn one skill and then do that. It is to transform your skills to where you are then and use it. And that's important.
As a service provider, travelling the world, not being in any particular location for maybe very long, how do you get clients? Because the nature of clients is they like certainty. Right. They like to know. In fact, many still like to eyeball the service provider they're contracting to.
Yeah.
How do you develop trust?
Yeah, good question. Because this depends on basically the culture of the clients, of what do they need to trust you. So I have a couple of clients from Germany, corporate, so I'm traveling to Germany, do that. And I'm talking to them and say, hey, let's do some online things. And, 2/3 of them are like, nah, I need you to come here. Like, our company doesn't do this thing. And I'm like, okay,
Not for me.
Right. So I offer that, and others say, hey, great. I want to do an online session. Why would I even want to come? Even if I'm in Berlin, for example, why would I waste 60 minutes in traffic to see you? I want to do an online session. And I see the culture's shifting. We're doing more and more online, especially in the Southeast Asia. People are just like, we're at home when we're online. So that is important to see, and always like checking in what people want. And sometimes people would say, nah, I don't know online. I say, give it a try, And I say, I put in my hours exactly, when can you work with me, and I make sure that I'm available and that I'm trustworthy. Mm-hmm. So when I say that, that's my word, and that can be taken serious.
What are the tools, software, hardware, apps that you can't live without?
Well, just general self-management, I think, super important. Evernote, I'm running on Getting Things Done. So that's a system to actually manage yourself.
Oh, that's I've interviewed him. What's his name?
David Allen.
David Allen.
Yeah, brilliant setup. Super simple, super smart. If your system doesn't run that slim, I highly suggest Getting Things Done.
Mm-hmm.
I read the book. I do workshops on that. Really changed my life. Decluttered my life for the inbox zero and everything. So yeah, and I got a MacBook. I got an iPhone. Really does good videos. The setup is almost everything I need. A good microphone. Well, look at my desktop. I got the Office suite, of course, working with PowerPoint. Got Premiere.
You just don't need a lot, do you? To run a serious business that's turning over, I'm guessing, good enough coin for you to live a very comfortable life in a beautiful part of the world.
That's it. I mean, that's the beauty right now, and that's why a lot of people. That's why it's a big trend of being nomad. I can really have everything I need just in my pocket, in my bag right now.
We're at a co-working space in Ubud called Hubud. Incredibly confusing name. I got lost coming here, and I'm saying to people in the street, "Where is Hubud?" And they say, "You're here." I said, "No, it's got an H on it." I forgot the question now, but the life, obviously, for you is one that you're thoroughly enjoying. Could you go back to not being a nomad?
Yeah, I think so. I think one thing to really think about is like you have the picture of a nomad and the nomad life, or like being in a normal job. These are always poles, It's like, for me, it's not that extreme. And for me, this is now just where I want to be and how I want to live and travel a lot. I don't know if in 5 years I want to travel so much,
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's really great for people to go explore and live this lifestyle. However, if it's just some 5 months or whatever, and then decide, So I don't think it's like, okay, hey, look, this is my career, I'm a nomad. But this, rather it would be better to say, oh, I am looking for a career in consulting, and maybe I just go nomad now.
As I talk to people like you, and earlier I spoke to Natalie, it would appear that focusing on the fact that you are location independent is kind of secondary or even tertiary. At the end of the day, primarily you're a business owner. Yeah. You know what I mean? You are a business owner as much as the person back from where I am who has an office in High Street.
Absolutely.
And that's the important part. You happen to run your business differently, but then what's normal?
Right. Now that's a good part, because actually, a lot of people see pictures on Instagram and people doing this and that, and having thousands of followers, and they're like, this is amazing, and then that's their business model of doing that,
Boring.
I have a business model, and if it works for them, great.
Yeah.
But again, then it's also maybe it's boring. It's just selling ads.
What I was going to ask earlier, the question I forgot, was the fact that you must, being in a co-working space like we are here, do you see people who are kidding themselves? First and foremost, they're going, I'm a digital nomad, look at me, and the business is secondary, and they're kind of kidding themselves. They're just trying to live a lifestyle that is not real versus starting a business.
That's a great question. I first of all see those people everywhere, and I think it's a process of growing. But your question directly for here is, it's so many different people around. Some are like, I'm just a month here. Some are 2 weeks and do that. And the interesting thing is, if you stay nomad, you will get the feedback of everything that you do, right? You say you're a business owner, you don't take care of what your clients want, if you don't look for your clients, well, you're going to run out of money. If you don't focus on whatever you want to build, it wouldn't work. So you would get the feedback real quick.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, that's the valuable thing about it. And it doesn't come in the person of your boss or someone living next to you. It comes from wherever. That's the thing.
Is it lonely?
It can be, it can be. I think a lot of people have problems with that, because when you move a lot, your social ties don't necessarily come along. For me, no, because I'm with my love, I'm with people I love, I have a great connection to people all over the world. I have to maintain that. It's also work. But I'm clear on that, and then it's beautiful. But I see that with a lot of people. And the co-working hubs and the communities actually serve that pain point. So you can come here, people are open, there's a movie night, whatever, you can just... And the great thing here is people are really open. Like, you wouldn't believe it. If I came from Berlin, I was like, yeah, people are already open there, and you're coming in here with such a friendly vibe and learning. They have a skill share. Also learning comes into different aspects, and the world is changing in so many ways, and these many ways you can really witness in the nomad scene, because that's all there, and it's all accelerated. It's all much more travel possibilities and much more chances, but also much, but also like really a challenge to focus on finding out what you really want to do and what it is. Do you want to go to the beach, or do you want to focus right now? And that's a challenge as well.
Well, self-discipline would be a major challenge. Major challenge. Yeah. Nev, I think it's a great story. Thank you for sharing it. If people want to hear more about you or maybe contact you, how do they do that? Website?
Yeah. You go on www.nobacht.com. Maybe we can put it on the show notes.
I will. Absolutely.
And I also got an Instagram profile, and I'm happy, to support anyone, want to go anywhere. And thanks for having me as well. And greetings to Australia.
Good on you, brother. Peace.
Thanks, man.
Well, there you go. 2 digital nomads, Natalie Thomas from the Now With Nat, and career coach Niv Nobacht. I'm going to put links to both their websites and digital nomadic businesses in the show notes for this episode. Hey, be sure to hang around after my top 3 attention grabbers, because I will reveal to you a couple of great guests I've got coming up over the next 2 weeks. One is an ex-AFL superstar turned business owner. But first, here's what grabbed my attention from that chat with Nat and Niv, thanks to American Express. Attention grabber number 1. I want you to be more flexible in the way you approach your work. I touched on this last week a little bit in my chat with Janet Deneve, who is also running a business or a number of businesses in Bali. But whilst your business might not be easy to be location independent, there is possibilities for you to do things with a little bit more flexibility. And I'd love you to consider what they are, so that it kind of gives you a fresh approach to the way you go about running your business. Attention grabber number 2. If what I just said leaves you feeling like, well, how do I do that, Timbo? I would encourage you to listen to an interview I did many years ago with Phil McKenney, who created a program called Killer Innovations. And the attention grabber here is I want you to be more innovative around the way you think about running your business. And what's at the heart of Killer Innovations process is these killer questions in which Phil gets you to look at your business differently. And when you look at something differently, you'll get different answers. And attention grabber number 3, and I insert a woo-woo warning here. Find some time for some spirituality in your business. I'm not being all preachy here, don't worry. But I just noticed with Nat and Niv that they were very mindful people, they were very connected people, and they were very grateful people. And I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I felt as there was something to learn from them. But as I look around the business world and everyone's stressed and everyone's running at 100 miles an hour, maybe it's time to just sit and relax, be a little bit meditative, be a little bit mindful, be a little bit grateful for what we have, because we live in an amazing world. And that's just a kind of something that caught my attention. Maybe it's because I met them. I don't know whether you picked it up from those 2 interviews, but certainly meeting those 2 people gave me a sense that that's what we all need to do, introduce a little bit of spirituality into our lives. That's what grabbed my attention. I would love to know what grabbed yours. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/448 and let me know. Well, that almost wraps up episode 448 of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, the award-winning Small Business Big Marketing Show, sponsored by American Express. Be sure to search Amex Business to find out how your business expenses can reward you, and they can. And big thanks to Amex, by the way, for supporting the new WOW segment. I hope you're getting a lot from that. If you are, let me know. Email me, tim@timreid.com.au. I'd love to hear. Got some really solid interviews coming up, including a chat with retired AFL legend Matthew Pavlich, who's making it easy for small businesses to book sporting personalities for their marketing. I like that. If you've ever wanted to do that, that is an interview I'd be listening to. And we've got UK jeweller and long-time listener of this show, Stuart Stanley from memory, who's standing out in a very competitive local marketplace. I tell you how competitive. There are 30 jewellers in the same street in which he operates. So be excited, be very excited. We've got some good chats coming up. Don't forget there's an entire back catalogue over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, like 447 interviews that you can go back through. If you love the show, let another business owner know. I'd love you to do that. Just email them. Say, hey, check this out. It's called the Small Business Big Marketing Show. The host is a bit wacky, but the content's good. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.